at Top Barley's Tap Room in the Beer to Whiskey Studios. We're on Washington Street in Greenville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Heaps, and this is an episode of Beer to Whiskey. And in our ongoing work to spread the gospel of good taste, today we're in Barley's Tap Room doing one of our Big John and Five episodes, in which I get my good buddy here, Big John Richards, to pick a beer, and we talk a little bit about it. He tells us about it. We talk a little bit about the brewery. Sometimes we talk about brewing. We get down to the nitty-gritty of all kinds of stuff. They've got more than 70 taps here, so we've got a pretty good selection that John can pick from. So with that said, John, what do we have?
We got Narragansett Lager today, which has made a fun kind of national resurgence over the past few years. It's a beer that back in the 70s, all the guys up in Maine, where my family's from, was used to call this beer Narragansett.
Well, that doesn't seem nice.
Well, you know, it was at the time, it was the beer you could go to the store and get a six-pack for, $1.50.
Yeah, it was.
So, that was the deal.
It was Maine's Schlitz then.
Well, and it was a subsidiary of Falstaff and some of those guys. Yeah. And so they've dropped back and become an independent brewery again. In fact, they faded out of existence altogether for a short period of time looking for some. In fact, there's a fun little, if you like, a mini history of beer on their website. If you go look up their actual Narragansett website, their story is it's a real history lesson. They opened up in, I think, 1890 and have been mostly straight through brewing beer ever since, but with the historical hiccups that this country has gone through. So there's a neat little mini history of really beer in the United States for the last 120 years looking through their website. So it's fun,
Yeah.
And these guys, brew some really good classic lagers, and this is still a really affordable classic American lager, really light, really clean, a little bit, we'll call it bolder than some of the light calorie lagers out there, but a great choice for people wanting to move in and try something really light. And, we get into some of these really crazy beers up here that are 10 and 12% and, barrel aged and got all kinds of cocoa nibs and all kinds of different ingredients and stuff in them. And I'm willing to bet there's a lot of folks, in fact, probably more folks out there watching some of these that would be interested in going, hey, you know what, I want an intro beer. I want something light, easy. And where do I go for that versus, a 16.5% double imperial stout that's going to knock you on your butt for 3 days?
Yep. You got to have something you can drink more than one of.
Right, and that's what one of the great things, with a beer like this is that you really can, sit down and have 5 or 6 of them, still get up and walk away.
Yeah.
As much as doctors don't recommend that you do that. I'm not a doctor though, so I'm good.
That's why I usually drink lying down.
Right.
It just saves that whole staggering around thing. What is the ABV of this?
5%.
Okay, yeah.
So right on line with the big American macros, just that tiny touch higher than most of the light beers. So you're right in that wheelhouse of being able to drink this with a clear conscience.
Well, let's
give it a shot.
Try.
Yeah.
Text Miss Lily. It's got a nice, you're right, it's got a nice clean taste to it, clean finish.
There's nothing aggressive in there. There's barely any bite, just enough dryness to let you know that you're drinking a beer. It's really, really clean. You get a little touch of that floral kind of outdoorsy hop aroma going on there without it getting bitter. Get that nice, clean, light, crackery kind of maltiness. Just a real easy sit down and drink a beer and don't have to think about it.
And a great summer beer.
Oh, yeah.
Great
Very good summer beer. One of the reasons why it makes the list at a place like, Barley's, which is craft beer central for, South Carolina.
Yeah, basically.
In some ways, the Southeast.
Yep.
So once it makes the list here, you're probably dealing with something that's
pretty good.
Got something behind it. And take a big gulp and still feel good about your life.
I can't find anything wrong with this.
Yep. No, it's like I said, it's these beers that don't get any recognition because there's not anything exciting going on.
Right.
But for where craft beer is heading. These kinds of beers are what's going to take over the market because that's what people are drinking.
Right.
You know, American Macro is still 78 or so percent of the total market of beer being sold in the world. So, you know, the craft beer is going to have to start brewing stuff like this if it wants to compete and keep growing in any way. So finding things like this are really, I think, the way to really evangelize, if you will, the craft beer movement. I didn't even think about our motto when I came up with evangelize.
It's all tied together.
That's
It's
right,
all
yeah.
tied together.
Sometimes by accident.
Yeah, mostly by accident.
Right.
Mostly by accident. Anything else?
They got a brand new brewery up in Rhode Island.
Oh,
It
is
was
that right?
actually publicly financed, apparently. I was looking through some of that while we were researching this guy, and they held on top of their investment campaign, they had a little drink local campaign with Rhode Island to build themselves a brewery facility right in Rhode Island. So if you're in Rhode Island, I guess I would have to recommend you go check out their brand new brewery.
But they are a main brewing company.
No,
they're not?
no. They were just New England.
Oh.
Back in the day, they've always been a Rhode Island company.
Have they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Narragansett is a town in Rhode Island.
Okay. All right. Well, I got all thrown off from your
Yeah.
your
Sorry,
main your main
that's just
reference.
my
early on.
family is from Maine, so that's where we got some of that from.
All right. Well, I think we got that all
Oh, yeah.
straightened out. That it?
I think we should let these people go find some of this on their own, Russ.
I would go get a beer.
Yeah.
That's what I would do if I were you.
Absolutely.
Great.
Cheers again.
See you next time.